Hello, all my people out there in YouTube land, all my people out in the chat room, and all my lurkers, and all the folks that'll be watching the show later on Memorex. Glad to have you with me today. It's a beautiful day in Indiana, sun shining, a little tiny breeze going with the leaves twitching on the trees a little bit. And it's going to be a great day. They say it's going to get about 80 degrees today, and it's 50s this morning, sweatshirt weather. So it's going to be a pretty one where I am. I hope it's going to be nice where you're at. We've got lots and lots of news to cover today. I guess everybody should be aware that yesterday was September the 11th. It was the anniversary of the Twin Towers being knocked down there in New York City, in Manhattan. So, there was news all over the place on it yesterday. A lot of channels had stuff on YouTube about it, and there was everything on the news, on the TV about it, and documentaries about it, and all sorts of things. I didn't feel inclined to put anything on it here because everybody else seemed to be covering it, but oh man, it was a newsworthy day. First thing that we have here in the news is off BizPac Review, where Hillary collapsed yesterday. She literally fell face forward, even with her staff trying to hold her up. And there's some videos on the website about it. Here, all these URLs are, of course, in the description of the video, so you can take a look at them and play the videos if you want. I don't know if the videos will play anymore or not, because word was out this morning that Hillary's trying to get these videos stopped. She's buying up the rights and stuff to them. So haven't seen them, you might want to take a look at them real quick if you can get them to come up for you. It says Clinton clearly woozy was being held up by staff as she waited for a car that took her to her daughter's apartment. The campaign said she was overheated and was feeling better after what was widely reported as a medical episode. The Democrat presidential nominee emerged about an hour later from Chelsea's apartment and said she was feeling great. But many on social media who believe this video is proof of serious medical issues plaguing Clinton. This could and should spell the end of her presidential campaign. And there's a lot of comments underneath this article if you want to read those. But the video to come up for you, it shows they're actually holding her up. It's like that old movie, Day at Bernie's or whatever it was, where that guy had passed away and his friends was taking him on a vacation. They are literally holding her up. They get the vehicle over to the curb and they have to drag her into the vehicle because she can't even stand. And clearly she was having some kind of a problem. The next article that we have here is off of Breitbart, and it says Hillary's Clinton doctor says she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday. Guess if you have a really, really high temperature, that could be called overheating. Most people said that the temperature is only about 80 degrees and wasn't anything for anybody to pass out in. And dark glasses at the deal yesterday, and they said that, honey, there really wasn't any need for sunglasses, and nobody else was wearing sunglasses, so everybody found that a little odd. But this article says Hillary Clinton's doctor says she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday and was overheated and dehydrated. 11 commemoration event Sunday morning where cameras caught her stumbling and then being placed into a van by her security details. I have just examined her and she is now rehydrated and recovering nicely, according to a statement. Dr. Lisa Bardak, I guess is her name, Bardak. Secretary Clinton has been experiencing a cough related to allergies. On Friday, during a follow-up evaluation of her prolonged cough, she was diagnosed with pneumonia. She was put on antibiotics and advised to rest and modify her schedule. While at this morning's event, she became overheated and dehydrated, said the statement. And we'll get this thing stopped that's trying to play here. Well, shoot, I don't want to stop. stands up. For goodness sakes, I don't want to hear her. Let's see if we can do it this way. There we go. Okay, the diagnosis of pneumonia was, well, for crying out loud. Hush, woman. You just can't shut her up, can you? Now I think we got it done. Okay, the diagnosis of pneumonia was not mentioned in earlier Sunday statements from her staff for her apparent collapse. The September 10th commemoration ceremony for just an hour and 30 minutes this morning to pay her respects and greet some of the families of the fallen, Merrill said in a morning statement. During the ceremony, she felt overheated, so she departed to go to her daughter's apartment and is feeling much better. The next one that we have here is off of Liberty Viral, and it says, report, emergency DNC meeting to consider Hillary's replacement. David Schuster, journalist for Al Jazeera America and MSNBC, tweeted about possible emergency meeting within the Democratic National Committee to consider replacement for Hillary Clinton's presidential candidacy. And that's all this one says. There's his tweet, which is, tells us the same thing that I just read you. So, that's all that's in this. But that'll be interesting to see what they come up with there. I'm sure she's having a hissy, but she clearly is not up for this challenge. The next one we have here is off of WND, and it's Hillary's chief of staff used personal email for state business. I mean, that seems to be, kind of par for the course for the whole lot of them, isn't it? New York, Hillary Clinton's chief of staff at the State Department, Cheryl Mills, may have received classified national security information through one of 2 or 3 personal unsecured email accounts she regularly used to communicate with Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin. The evidence is in the latest cache of emails released by Judicial Watch, as well as related emails attached as exhibits to the deposition Judicial Watch took with Mills in a lawsuit use of a private email server as Secretary of State. Approximately 10% of Abedin's emails released through Judicial Watch Freedom of requests were addressed to one of Mills' various personal email addresses. Several were found to contain such highly sensitive material that the State Department redacted 100% of the content pages, marking many pages with bold stamp reading, "Page denied." Number 1, New York Times best-selling author Jerome Corsi's newest, oh, that's an ad, gee whiz, I wish they'd, block them off a little bit better. WND reported August 26th that 160 emails in the latest Judicial Watch release, some 110 emails, 2/3 of the total, were forwarded by Abedin addresses she controlled. The Washington Times reported in August 2015 that the State Department had admitted to federal judge that Abedin and Mills used personal email accounts to conduct government business in addition to Clinton's private ClintonEmail.com to transact State Department business. To have used Cheryl Mills as her primary private email address. One heavily redacted email dated May the 15th of 2009 was sent by Doug Band, head of the Clinton Foundation, linked Tenio consulting firm, to Mills at a personal address and to Huma Abedin at her State Department address. Band was forwarding to Mills and Abedin an email request from his associate who was seeking a State Department position in Charleston, South Carolina. Attached was a letter that the office seeker had first sent to Bill Clinton containing the office seeker's resume. The email leaves little doubt Band enjoyed an easy email familiarity with Abedin and Mills, making a State Department job request on behalf of the Clinton Foundation and/or Tenio-related person. The email from Band was completely redacted except for a salutation and first sentence. The letter the office seeker had sent to President Clinton, as well as the office seeker's resume, was redacted except for a phrase that reads, well-organized, driven professional. In cases, one or more of Mills' private emails can be found in email chains involving Abedin that Abedin subsequently emailed to herself. A second email dated May the 15th, 2009 was sent by Abedin from her State Department email to her personal email, presumably Abedin at yahoo.com. Abedin apparently was archiving her personal email account and email Hillary Clinton sent from her Clinton's private email server at hdr22 at clintonemail.com. Abedin was asked to print out attachments to an email Mills sent via a private address the previous day to Clinton involving timetables and deliverables by Alex Ross, a technology policy expert who then held the title of Senior Advisor for Invocation to Secretary Clinton. Timetables and deliverables attached to the email were 100% redacted, with page denied stamped across the redacted page. It's got something that's trying to play here, of course, these doggone things. I'm waiting to try to get it to shut down. Now, there it goes. Let's see.
Hillary Clinton's
yeah, we don't want to hear it. Let's go. Okay, next one is in an email dated June the 15th, 2009, Abedin uses Huma at .com, her email address on Secretary Clinton's private email server, to forward an email to Mills at Mills' private email. The forwarded email involved a request Secretary Clinton had originally addressed to Lana J. Then Clinton's State Department Special Assistant for Scheduling. Valmero was asked to schedule a briefing on Haiti with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, head of the Democratic National Committee, and CODEL, a State Department abbreviation for Congress delegation or congressional delegation. Then it goes on, it says, June 21st of 2009 was a day scheduled for a runoff election in Haiti in which 1/3 of the seats in the Haiti Senate were in play. The election, delayed until June 21st by a car accident that killed a prominent politician representing the party of President Rene Preval, was by a boycott protesting chronic poverty and unresponsive government leaders. So there you have that article on the emails. The next one we have is off of the Daily Mail, and it says, Trump brands Hillary trigger happy and very unstable as he calls for more ships, fighters, and service members in Philadelphia's beach. This one says, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump blasted Hillary Clinton as trigger happy and reckless in a tough speech on national security in Philadelphia, where he also called for substantial defense buildup. She's trigger happy and very unstable. Whether we like it or not, that's what's going on. She's also reckless, Trump told a crowd at the Union League of Philadelphia. The real estate mogul went after the former Secretary of State in what Clinton believes to be House, saying, unlike my opponent, my foreign policy will emphasize democracy, not destruction. Sometimes it seemed like there wasn't a country in the Middle East that Hillary Clinton didn't want to invade, intervene, or topple, Trump said, referencing Clinton's vote for the Iraq War. Trump ran through a litany of global problems from Libya to Syria. This is Hillary Clinton's legacy, failure and death, he said, reading a prepared remark from the teleprompter. Including veteran health care costs, and this was just announced and read over the last number of the weeks. The price of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan will total approximately $6 trillion, Trump said. We could have rebuilt our country over and over again. Yet after all this money was spent and lives lost, Clinton's policies as Secretary of State have left the Middle East in more disarray than ever before, not even close. Had we done nothing, we would have been in far better position, Trump continued. Meanwhile, China has grown more aggressive and North Korea more dangerous and belligerent than ever. Trump returned to relations with Russia, a country he wants to partner with in the campaign against ISIS. Russia has defined this administration at every single turn. Putin has no respect for President Obama and has absolutely no respect for Hillary Clinton, the candidate said. Then he continued, then he connected Clinton's reckless behavior in the world to her private email server, calling her so reckless, in fact, that she put her emails on an illegal server that our enemies could easily hack and possibly have. Trump also called for a substantial boost in defense spending with more ships, fighter aircraft, and men and women serving in the Army. They're old, they're tired, he said of aging vessels. Trump laid out his remarks in a speech at the Union Club of Philadelphia. According to a fact sheet released by his campaign, Trump wants 350 ship Navy and increase of 77 vessels over the current level. He wants an active duty Army of 540,000, an increase of 61,000, and Marine Corps of 36 battalions. There currently are 32 Marine infantry battalions. The proposal are meant to upgrade and update America's military, according to the campaign. Trump wants Congress to fully eliminate 2011 budget sequester, which includes automatic cuts. All of the changes would require getting legislation through Congress. Trump on Tuesday spoke woefully about the size of the Navy, noting it was the newest ship since World War I. The call for the buildup, the call for the buildup recalls Ronald Reagan call for 600 ship Navy. Trump's 350 ship level has been promoted for years by GOP defense hawks through budget hawks, whose primary focus is trimming spending, have balked at the idea. Former Navy Secretary Richard Danzig called the push for a buildup sloganeering and lacking in strategic thought, Politico reported in 2015. Trump also wants a state-of-the-art missile defense system. A campaign aide said Tuesday it would be a sea-based system. Some defense hawks want to put in place a more robust system to better counter the potential missile threat from North Korea and other adversaries. One of Mr. Trump's first commands after taking office will be asking the Joint Chiefs of Staff and all relevant federal departments to conduct a thorough review of United States cyber defense and identify all vulnerabilities in our power grid, our communication system, and all vital infrastructure, according to the fact sheet. Trump also is asking generals to provide him with a plan to defeat ISIS within 30 days after he takes office. He wants a specific he wasn't as specific about how he'd pay for the buildup. He calls for common sense reforms that eliminate government waste and budget gimmicks, and that absolutely protect hard-earned benefits for Americans. Trump said he would reduce the size of federal bureaucracy through responsible workforce attrition. He called for paring back improper government payments estimated to cost $135 billion per year, while clawing back unpaid taxes estimated at $385 billion. Trump didn't say whether he favored increased IRS funding or audits to bring in the unpaid taxes. We can also stop funding programs that are not authorized in law, Trump said, saying Congress spent $320 billion funding in try that again. We can also stop funding programs that are not authorized in law, Trump said, saying Congress spent $320 billion funding 256 expired laws. The military will not be exempt either. The military bureaucracy will have to be trimmed down, Trump said. We have to create that strength, and sometimes we have to reduce bureaucracy. It just gets in our way. Promoting the Marine Corps and Air Force increase, Trump's camp cited Conservative Heritage Foundation. It said the Army increase is what the Chief of Staff has said he needs. In a shot at Hillary Clinton, Trump's camp said he will enforce all classification rules and enforce all laws relating to handling of classified information. Trump has previously called for an investigation of Clinton by special prosecutor to begin immediately. Trump set to deliver another speech Wednesday to New York's Conservative Party, again with national security theme. He also participates in the Forum on Security on NBC tonight. The crowd at Union Club was more buttoned down than those who gather for Trump's big rallies. Reporters following the candidate were advised to wear business attire. The building's wood-paneled hall has high ceilings and oil portraits leading Philadelphians from over the years. So there's that information on what Trump had to say. The next one we have here is off of the express.co.uk. Get it to cooperate with me a little bit. It says Donald Trump labels Germany and France a disaster for their open door immigration. Donald Trump has branded France and Germany's open door immigration policy a disaster. Camp Trail, the Republican nominee, also took aim at his presidential rival Hillary Clinton for wanting to welcome in unlimited amounts of migrants to the U.S. The business tycoon said it's a disaster. It's a total disaster, on top of which you have too much immigration.
It's a total disaster. On top
and
of
there
which
he is
the
talking. And how do we get that stopped?
Europe.
Where is he
Look
at?
at Merkel. I mean, what happened to her the other day in the election is incredible.
Crying out loud.
And I knew that was going to happen. I mean, how could what she's supposed to be popular?
Can't even find where he's talking from.
Now. France is a disaster.
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just shut that one down if he's going to do that. There wasn't even a place to shut him off on that site. My goodness gracious! But we got the basics of that one. If you want to see it, the URL's down there in the description. Maybe you can figure out how to shut him off. Next one we have here is off of Judicial Watch. It says, records show Obama hired behavior experts to expand use of government programs. Oh, ain't he special? This goes on and says the Obama administration quietly hired 20 social and behavioral research experts to help expand the use of government programs at dozens of agencies by, among other things, simplifying federal forms, according to records obtained by Judicial Watch. The controversial group of experts is collectively known as the Social and Behavioral Science Team, SBST, and it functions under the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP. In 2015, Obama signed an executive order directing federal agencies to use behavioral science to sell their program to the public. The records obtained by Judicial Watch reveal. By then, the government had contracted 20 leading social and behavioral research experts that at that point had already been involved in more than 75 agency collaborations, the records state. A memo sent from SBST Chair Maya Shankar, a neuroscientist, to OSTP Director John Holdren, offers agencies guidance and information about available government support for using behavioral insights to improve federal forms. Sent electronically, the memo is titled Behavioral Science Insights in Federal Forms. The research obtained from the OSTP under the Freedom of Information Act also included delivery by Holdren, in which he insists that the social and behavioral sciences are real science with immense valuable practical applications. The views of a few members of Congress to the contrary notwithstanding, and that these sciences abundantly warrant continuing support in the federal science and technology budget. Holdren is Stanford and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology graduate, is a particular character who worked as an environmental professor at Harvard in the University of California, Berkeley, before becoming Obama's science advisor. In the late 70s, he co-authored a book with doomsayer Paul Ehrlich, or Eckrich, I don't know, advocating for the mandatory sterilization of the American people and forced abortions in order to depopulate the country. Ahead of the OSTP, Holdren technically oversees the SBST. Information about the Observed Behavior Team remains sketchy because the administration, which claims to be most transparent in history, withheld nearly 100 pages of records that could have shed light on taxpayer-funded groups' secret operations. The Obama administration cited an exemption officially known as B5. that applies to deliberative process, which allows government officials to discuss policy without the decisions or without the discussions being made public, or attorney-client privilege. In this case, it appears that the administration used the deliberative process exemption to withhold the records, since it's unlikely that attorney-client privilege applies. B5 is the most abused of the FOIA exemptions and is regularly used to hide material that may embarrass the government. That appears to be the case in this instance, though we'll never know for certain because it's unlikely that the SBST records will ever be released, since it's very difficult to challenge the B5 exemptions. Americans should be concerned that the government is employing behavioral experts to use psychological techniques in order to manipulate the behavior of its citizens. This makes it all the more imperative that the discussions between these government officials be exposed to the public and not sheltered through a suspicious claim of deliberative process. In its first annual report to the president last year, the SBST writes that it works to identify how behavioral insights can be integrated into federal agency programs in order to help agencies achieve their missions and objectives. This, it claims, will better serve the nation. The new group's projects are designed to address only the behavioral barriers that affect how people engage with programs, the report says. It includes a list of federal agencies that have worked with SBST to coordinate the application of social and behavioral research to advance policy and program goals. They include the Departments of Agriculture, Defense, Education, Treasury, Justice and Labor, as well as the Social Security Administration and the U.S. Agency for International Development. When behavioral insights research findings from behavioral economics and psychology about how people make decisions and act on them, we are brought into policy, the returns are significant, according to the SBST report. So there you have it. You're being manipulated. I don't think anybody's surprised. The next one we have is off of Allen B. West. Despicable. Obama shows his true colors at the Pentagon 9/11 service. Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton has effectively dominated the headlines on this 15th anniversary of 9/11 after her medical episode and subsequent attempts to spin that, while Hillary's medical incidents caused her to leave the New York City 9/11 ceremony early. It was President Obama's own impatience that apparently prompted him to cause the Pentagon ceremony he attended to begin early. Never mind marking the time the attack took place. The president had his own timetable to keep, apparently. It says, as the Daily Caller reports, a moment of silence remembering the 9/11 victims at a Pentagon memorial service began early in order to accommodate a restless President Obama, a Department of Defense official told the Daily Caller. So there you have that. Holy smoke. The next one we have here is off of Breitbart.com, and it says, leaked memo, George Soros Foundation seeking to expand U.S. online voting. Had to get a little drink of water there and wet my whistle. This one says, New York, George Soros Open Society Foundation is seeking to expand the use of electronic and online voting systems nationwide, according to a leaked foundation's document reviewed by Breitbart News. While the directives was issued 2 years ago, the issue of electronic voting has become a hot button topic in this year's presidential election amid fears systems can be compromised. The online voting plan was contained in a 67-page hacked file September 29th through the 30th of 2014 Open Society U.S. Program Board meeting in New York. A significant portion of the board meeting was dedicated to methods the foundation U.S. programs called the USP could use to further the use of President Obama's executive action authority to bypass Congress during Obama's final 2 years in office. The Open Society, together with Partner Guarantees, assembled a general list of potential presidential executive actions on numerous issues.
Russia.
And we'll get that stopped. There we go. Significantly, the Soros-backed group zeroed in on the expansion of online voting. States the document, USP will continue to fight against efforts to restrict voting rights while supporting steps to improve voter participation in modernized voting procedures such as online and same-day registration and expand early voting. The demos and other grantees have engaged in litigation to expand access to registration and improve ease of voting. The document listed a number of executive actions steps that Obama administration could take to ensure greater participation by eligible voters, including online voting. Direct Health and Human Services to ensure that federally facilitated health care exchanges created as part of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, incorporate voter registration opportunities as required by the National Voter Registration Act, the NBRA, or Motor Voter Act, agencies to find ways to increase voter participation nationwide. Issue guidance interpreting the Americans with Disabilities Act with respect to accessibility of polling places, privacy when voting, and competence requirements. Assist states with voter registration modernization efforts, including statewide database improvements, vote by mail, online registration and voting, and same-day registration. Direct the Elections Assistance Commission, the EAC, to develop new data collection points that provide greater insight into country-based election administration and the ways in which voters interact with electoral systems, of votes cast, type of voting machines used, and provisional ballot statistics, etc. In January of 2014, Obama's 10-person Presidential Commission on Election Administration released its recommendations for reforming the U.S. election process, including transitioning to voting via tablet computers and other technologies. Recommended software-only products can be integrated with off-the-shelf commercial hardware components such as computers, laptops, tablets, scanners, printers, and even readable code scanners and signature pad products. Tablet computers such as iPads are common components of these new technologies. They can be integrated into check-in voting and verification processes in the polling place. The commission highlighted in which voters can pre-fill sample ballots at home to be scanned later at the polling place. Obama's presidential panel dismissed concerns about hacking. The commission stated the fact that tablet or off-the-shelf computers can be hacked or can break down does not mean such technology is inherently less secure than existing ballot marking methods if proper precautions are taken. May have been dismissed too soon. 2 weeks ago, NBC News cited intelligence officials revealing hackers purportedly based in Russia recently attempted to breach state voter registration databases twice. One of the hacking attempts resulted in a lifting of up to 200,000 voter records in Illinois, according to the officials. The breach prompted the FBI to issue an unusual nationwide flash alert warning states to take immediate measures to beef up security of their online voting-related systems. Last month, Homeland Security Jay Johnson held a conference call with state election officials related to the matter. Also last month, Johnson was quoted as saying during a media conference call hosted by the Christian Science Monitor that DHS should consider whether to designate the U.S. election system as a critical infrastructure. We should carefully consider whether our election system, our election process is critical infrastructure like the financial sector, like the power grid, Johnson said. Interest in our election process, so I do think we need to consider whether it should be considered by my department and others critical infrastructure, he added. On Thursday, however, Johnson downplayed concerns that hackers could alter the ballot count during the presidential election. It would be very difficult through any sort of cyber intrusion to alter the ballot count simply because it's so decentralized and so vast, Johnson said. It would be very difficult to alter the count. The Hill poured cold water on Johnson's optimistic assessment. The publication contended, despite Johnson's claims, however, hackers would not necessarily need to alter a particular vote count in order to inject chaos into the U.S. electoral system. Merely tainting the integrity of the voting system might be enough to sow discord in the U.S. election day. In other words, even if hackers do nothing, simply claiming to have altered the results could cause the public to doubt the results. And hackers might be able to alter ballot counts in swinging districts where the outcome might have oversized importance. Meanwhile, this is not Soros's only attempt to meddle in U.S. election affairs. A May 2014 USP board meeting document discussed the goal of expanding U.S. electorate by at least 10 million voters. The document, first publicized by Washington Free Beacon, stated the voter expansion goal would be accomplished by lowering barriers to voter registration through the various forms of modernization and increased ballot access, while sustaining and expanding the franchise by establishing strong protections against the vote suppression, denial, and dilution. 10 million new voters are a lowball number. The Soros-funded Brennan Center was mentioned in the September 2015 board meeting document reviewed by Breitbart News as engaging with other Soros grantees to expand access to registration and improve ease of voting. Brennan's website has an entire section dedicated to voter registration modernization, explaining its goal is to use voter modernization to add 50 million more voters to the rosters. The website states the Brennan Center signature proposal to modernize voting would harness proven technology to ensure that every eligible voter is permanently registered. The move would add 50 million to the rolls, cost less, and curb the potential for fraud. Already 48 states and the District of Columbia, without fanfare or have implemented important elements of the plan. So there's that information on Soros trying to mess with the voting system. The next one we have is off of Real Clear Politics, and says, possible to rig voting machine for 100 votes, calling election rigged, fundamental attack on the country. The Democratic operatives, James Carville, rips Donald Trump and his supporters for suggesting the presidential election will be rigged. Carville called such claims a fundamental attack on the country itself on Wednesday's broadcast of MSNBC's Morning Joe. However, Carville conceded it is possible to rig voting machines to get 100 votes here or 100 votes there. I tell my students, if there's such thing as a sacred moment in a secular democracy is when the former president gets on the helicopter and goes to Andrews Air Force Base to go to the plane and go back wherever they came from, and a new president takes office. That's the moment, that's the key moment in any democracy, because you know you lose. You leave, or you're 8 years up and you go and the new person comes in, Carville said. This is fundamental attack on the country itself, the underpinning of it that somehow or another it's rigged or it's not fair, the veteran Democrat strategist said. People, you know, some people believe that. Carville said, by and large, American elections are on the up and up, but hacking a vote machine to get 100 votes here or 100 votes there is possible. American elections are pretty much on the way up and up. It's very, I cannot tell you that somebody can't rig voting machine to get 100 votes here or 100 votes there. That is possible, the Clinton confidant said. It's as up and up as it can be, Republican strategist Steve Schmidt chimed in. It's as up and up as it can be, Carville repeated. Something happens, it gets hacked this time, but by and large, you're never surprised at something that happens. So that's the story there on Carville, admitting that it can be rigged. He's saying not by much, but sometimes it doesn't take much, does it? Next one that we have here is off of Sputnik News. It says, using a bomb to kill a bug. FBI forces malware on innocent internet users. The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, has filed a motion in Maryland court asking for the FBI to justify its actions of infecting the computers of thousands of innocent internet users in an operation against a single website hosting child pornography. In 2013, the FBI seized servers belonging to Freedom Hosting Network, or FHN, and ISP hosting a variety of websites only visible on the anonymous Tor network. The servers were seized because child pornography was hosted on one of its websites unbeknownst to FHN. A part of its investigation, the agency infected the server with network investigation technique called NIT software. NIT behaves much like malware, installing itself secretly without a user's knowledge. An FBI warrant enabling the deployment of NIT ran from the end of July 2013 to August 5th of that year. On August 4th, a Tor mail user noticed that an email service website hosted on the same Freedom server attempted to install unwanted software, later found to be similar to NIT used by the agency. Tor Mail, a free email service used by thousands, including activists and journalists, is not affiliated with the Tor project or pornography of any kind. Nonetheless, users were infected, stated the ACLU representative. And here's their quote. It says, there is reason to believe that the malware warrant issued by this court on July 22, 2013 was the source of authority for the deployment of malware, not just against child pornography defendant, but across Freedom hosting websites and services, which had thousands of users, including against innocent users of Tor Mail, according to the ACLU filing. And the article goes on and says, the organization says that public debate on the potentially illegal malware infection is not possible because the docket sheets for the case have been sealed by the court. Docket sheets would explain general procedural information about which judge issued the warrant, claimed the ACLU representative. The sealing of the docket sheet associated with the July 22, 2013 warrant prevents these concerns from being aired and debated publicly. Indeed, it prevents the public from learning or confirming even the most basic facts about the deployment of malware for law enforcement purposes. The fact of judicial approval is unconfirmed. Any reasoning supporting such approval is inaccessible. Even the reasons for precluding public access are themselves inaccessible, reads the filing. So there you go. Once again, how they take advantage of us, spy on us, put stuff in our computers without our knowledge. Wow. The next one I have, I get a chuckle out of it. There may be some of you that think that it's way more serious, but good golly, people just don't have enough to do. This is off of Mad World News, and it says, drivers horrified at massive roadside display when they see what the signs say. It says, drivers passing by a large stretch of field at the rural end of Colorado Springs, Colorado, were left shocked by what they saw against a fence that wasn't there the day before. Massive display with 4 specific signs emerging overnight, leaving some residents in the area utterly horrified. Liberals in Colorado are up in arms over the way a gun store owner who is known as Dragon Man decided to use his property along the Highway 94 as he wasn't using it for anything else at the time. With careful planning and a lot of effort put into it, the landowner let everyone near El Paso County know exactly how he feels about the candidates and the current president. Now people are saying that they are deeply disturbed by it and demanded action be taken against the man. Not only does this unidentified patriot have the same right to First Amendment that liberals do, but he used his own property to make the statement, which he's entitled to do. However, none of them that matters to those who disagree with him and call this man un-American for his opinion for Hillary over Trump makes you patriotic. And there is a picture in this article, if you want to see what he actually has up there. He's got these mannequins dressed up as Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and Barack Obama and Melania Trump and Michelle Obama. And they're dressed in clothes and suits, pantsuits and all, There's nothing disgusting about the way they're dressed. It says, according to the Denver City Page, 5 mannequins representing Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Melania Trump, Michelle Obama, and President Barack Obama stood tall with signs in between them that said everything this man and many Americans are thinking, despite the site referring to it as disturbing. It says, the first sign says, goodbye, Obama. You were the worst president we ever had. The sign next to Barack Obama says, Michelle's poster was just as accurate, reading, goodbye, Michelle. You did nothing for our country but spend taxpayers' money. When it came to Melania, the message about her said, Melania Trump, a first lady we can be proud of. The display artist left the best for last with the likeness of Hillary Clinton, seen wearing prison orange, and proud owner calling her out specifically for how bad she is for our country. We all know that Hillary belongs in jail. She is no good for our gun rights. She is no good for America. Her special sign read with a statue of Trump right above her on a pedestal. After a photo of the display emerged on social media, so did the haters who said that this was an unacceptable use of right to free speech, since he was, well, a-hole in how he went about it. However, with as many Hillary supporters as there were in the thread, there was an equal or greater amount of conservatives defending what this man said and did. He doesn't like Obama or Hillary. He didn't wish any harm on him. Apparently, he supports Trump. The display is about as disturbing as Hillary 2016 sign, one man commented. Others pointed out that the obvious to the liberal complainers, saying that just because you disagree with someone doesn't make them a criminal for putting this on their property. What's worse is that nobody had anything bad to say when a very detailed statue of naked Trump was erected in New York and is now traveling the country. Somehow that's perfectly okay, but not fully, but not fully closed statues and non-threatening signs. That's liberal logic at its finest. So there's your chuckle. Holy smoke. People need something to complain about, don't they? My goodness. And now I've got something that I want to share with all of you. I'm going to do this in a screen share. A friend of most of ours that view this channel came out with a song the other night, and I was really touched by it. I didn't ask him. I should have asked him. I think he wrote this song himself, and he's singing this song on his channel, and he gave permission for me to put this on the show. So this is how I'm going to close out the show today, and it give you all, pause to think, something to think on. So let's see if I can do my screen share here. It's good practice for me to do this once in a while anyway. So we'll put this on a screen share and see if we can get that to work. Full size, and we'll put it on play.
This is my letter to the world. Can we find a common ground? Put the weapons down. This is my letter to the world. Can we unify in faith? Stand together for a day. I pray to God that He would take the pain and give us love within the world. This is my letter to the world. This is my letter to the world. Can we find a common ground? Put the weapons down. This is my letter to the world. Can we unify in faith? Stand together for a day. I pray to God that He would take the pain and give us love within the world. This is my letter to the world. For our children to grow free, for a chance to be appear. This is my letter to the world. Can we try to extend our hands across the earthly lands? I pray to God that He would take the pain and give us love within the world. This is my letter to the world. Can we find a common ground? Put the weapons down. This is my letter to the world. Can we unify faith? Stand together for a day. Pray to God that He would take the pain and give us love within the world. Oh, 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 oh. My letter to the world, for our children to grow free, a chance to be happy. This is my letter to the world. Can try to extend our hands across the earthly land. I pray to God that He would take the pain and give us love within the world.
Okay, there you have it. Great song by Mike Soror, and I thank him for doing that. I thought he did a wonderful job with that song, and I wanted to share it with the rest of you. So close out the show today, but I hope that you'll all, give the words to that song some thought today. And if it's pretty where you're at, be sure and get out and breathe some of the fresh air today. Kick off your shoes, stick your feet down in the grass, ground yourself, get some balance in your life. Don't dwell on all this negative stuff because it's going to go on regardless of what the rest of us do anyway. So all we can do is try to prepare. So with that, we'll let you go, and we'll see you back here at noon tomorrow for another exciting episode of Level Headed News. Bye.